All right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that could still be tucked away in those back issue boxes. These are not wall books, these are books that are probably underpriced, undervalued, just still tucked away in those back issue bins that no one's paying attention to. So maybe you can still go and dig these things out for cheap because maybe they are actually selling for more than you might expect, or maybe these are some cheap books that could have some legs in the future, just some fun things that might relate to some of the topics I want to cover here. I've segmented this all out into different topics and sections. Hopefully you guys are still enjoying that, as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel as we are on our way to 2K. We are almost there, so we could just use a few more subs and we get there, and we will do another big giveaway like we did at 1,000. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I gave away a nice big prize when we hit 1,000. So when we hit 2,000, maybe we will do that and maybe do a little more. Maybe there'll be a little extras. I don't know. Still working out the details as we inch closer and closer to 2K every day. So keep helping us out and keep telling your friends so we can get there sooner rather than later. If you're interested, check out the memberships, join up. If you're interested, no pressure, different options, different tiers for you guys. Check out in the information down below what you get by signing up. Things like t-shirts, and might be sending out some books and other fun stuff. I do have the first batch of shirts that I will be sending out as soon as I get back from vacation, and the members who are early adopters will be getting those shirts because I have them in hand. I do have them in hand. I do have them in hand here. Yes, I know it looks like the regular shirt, but it is not. I'll show you guys here. It is not. It is actually front and back, down since day one. They will be getting this as soon as I get back. I like doing t-shirts, so hopefully you guys like it. Again, you can find most of them on the links down below to the TeePublic site and the Teespring site, where I got some stuff over there as well, including this Tales from the Dark Side shirt that you might have saw last week on Dollar Bin Digging, because, well, I'm filming this the same day. I told you I got to take a break. I'm taking a vacation, so I got to get ahead of the game. So I'm filming this one a little bit early. So hopefully you guys don't mind that. Some of the prices could be stale by the time you see this video on Monday. But that all said, if you want to see what books I got for you this week and the artists that I want to spotlight, just hang on for a few seconds after the new intro, and I will be right back with those books. All right. Okay, so what artists do we want to spotlight this week? Last week, I think we did Michael Cho, and we're going to shift gears, go with a completely different art style, and we are going to go with our quick artist retrospective, where we're just going to spotlight young Miss Saya if I'm saying her name properly. Sia I don't know. Again, going to try not to keep butchering names, but I'm just doing the best I can. And you guys probably know her from this awesome She-Hulk 1/100 variant from 2014. This is a tough book to find. I've had it on Chasing Ghosts. It's an expensive book. And with She-Hulk now, on Disney Plus, I felt like it's a good time to not only just show this book again, but we can take a look at her portfolio, if you will. Outside of this, the other thing that I remember her most from were all those Phantom variants. I don't know if you remember those, like portrait style, picturesque covers. I think there's black and white versions for most of these. Those Phantom variants from back in, I don't remember how long, it's 2015, 2016, thereabouts. But pretty cool covers. I like them. They're different, and it just stick out in my head, and I just don't even remember how many total there are, but here are 3 of them with all new Hawkeye, Ms. Marvel, and you got Spider-Gwen, and there are a couple more. We got the Storm over on Extraordinary X-Men, and then you got an Invincible Iron Man. I think she also did a cover similar to this that might not be a Phantom variant with Squirrel Girl. I think there was a Squirrel Girl that also had that same kind of a style, that portrait kind of style that she did. So keep an eye out for those. I'm not giving pricing on these. These are just some variants I'm just throwing out there just to kind of showcase her art and her style. It's kind of like almost like a pastel-y, watercolory, paintery kind of vibe right here. But she's done a lot of different things over the years, especially with some of these variants. And some of the variants, like that She-Hulk, are pretty tough and pretty expensive. Like the Scarlet Witch one, which I still want. I do not have that one, but it's gotten pricey. That's like I don't know, maybe $150 to $200 raw now these days. I just can't. shell out that kind of money for every variant that I like, but I do like it. She did that comic bug variant, which I think is technically like a seventh or eighth print. I don't know, whatever printing of Edge of the Spider Verse 2. I actually had that a while ago, and I think I sold it for like super cheap just because I didn't think I needed it. And now that actually does pretty well on its own as well. So she did that variant, and then there's this. I think this is 1 in 25. Could have been even a 1 in 50. That all new Ultimates, and I also think I talked about this on Chasing Ghosts. It's not easy to find, and also an expensive variant. That all new Ultimates #3, where she did that cover. You got Cloak and Dagger and Miles. Really nice stuff. Really cool cover. And then she did a few Spider Woman covers. All the different volumes. Again, Spider Woman kept restarting. It seemed like every dozen issues. Like, hey, let's do another volume. But she did a couple of #1s, and you got even a #5 mixed in with Saya doing these pretty cool covers. I don't know. They still stand out. And again, some of these can be kind of pricey, so I'm not putting those into hidden gems for you to kind of price out and so you can look for. I'm just showing them, so again, you get a sense of the artist and their art style, and just some cool books that, hey, I mean, if you want to go and pay the high prices, you can, but some of that stuff's expensive. However, I am going to show you some cheaper options if you do like her art. And one of those, and it's a variant, and these are first. I'm going to start with a couple of variants. This Ms. Marvel #8. This, I think that a lot of them listed as the American flag variant, but this one, it's not super duper expensive. I mean, maybe you can find it cheap in a box where it's maybe cover price, maybe it's even double cover. But I mean, this thing could sell for $15, even as high as $40, which is kind of surprising. But really, the asking prices are more in that $15 to like $20 kind of range for this one. So again, it's not super duper expensive. I'm not saying pay these prices. I'm just saying that's what the prices are. So if you find this book for less than that at your shop, or you find it for cover, then you know where the market is. So you can make that decision for yourself whether you want to buy it or not. Because that's the whole point of this series is I'm not telling you to buy any of this stuff. I'm just showing you cool books that I think are cool and giving you the market on them. So this way, if you see them out there for less, you know what these things are worth, or at least going for right now, as far as actual sales and asking prices. And then you can make that decision for yourself. Another one that I kind of like that is not on the pricier side of things is Mighty Thor 705. You got the Jane Foster with the pretty cool with the tombstone. And again, with Thor: Love and Thunder, I know might not have been the biggest hit. Not everybody loves that movie. And who knows if we're going to get any more Jane Foster Thor, but we did get a little bit of a mini in the comics, so who knows? They still might bring her back every so often as the Jane Foster version of Thor. But this cover, again, is not that expensive. It's not an incentive variant. It's just a variant that's out there. So $5 to $10 really is what it's kind of selling for. So maybe find this for cover or even less. Asking prices right now, $9, about $15. Again, not super duper expensive. So maybe you can find something like this out there for cheap. Just like the next book, which is a Women of Power cover that I actually did, I think, cover on Run for Covers way back, series that I'm not doing anymore. But this one, Guardians of the Galaxy #6, the Women of Power variant. You got pretty cool Kitty Pryde cover. You got Lockheed out in space. Fun stuff. And this thing, there have been no copies sold recently. So the market really isn't there. Even the asking prices are really right around cover. $4 to $7. Cover to double cover isn't really all that much, but this isn't that easy to find. But you might find it at your shop, and if you do, think about it for cover. I'm not saying it was definitely going to go up or it's definitely going to be worth something. Who knows? But I think just for the cover price alone, I like this cover for that price, just because I think the art is worth it. But that's just me. Now, usually I would hit this up earlier before I get into variants and all that stuff. Usually I'll give you like a sense of the artist's first works and things like that. I was having a hard time kind of nail down very specific, like what her first cover was, first actual interior. The only thing I could definitively find, well, maybe not even definitively, the one thing I could find a lot of information on, at least for my purposes here, was that her first work as a colorist was on Grim Fairy Tales 2007 annual. So the colorist, don't know if it was interiors, exteriors. Wasn't that specific of what work that she did, but as a colorist, she worked on this Grim Fairy Tales 2007 annual. This is the Talent Caldwell cover. I picked this one because this is the one that kind of showed up most. There is another cover, I think an Al Rio cover as well. But 2007, this is her first work as a colorist. So if you're interested, keep an eye out for it. This book does, 10 to 16 bucks, it looks like. As far as recent sales go, asking prices could be as cheap as like $6 in that kind of 12 buck range. Again, there are some higher asks out there, but I just went with the average of the what you can find. So yes, there could be some higher prices out there, but you can find copies like this. So that's what I figured I'd give you a broader run. I don't want to overinflate the value of things by saying, well, this is a high. Yes, somebody can ask $300 if they want to ask it. Doesn't mean that it's worth $300, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on. The other thing, again, she's done a lot of work for Aspen, which was a Michael Turner studio with Fathom and all that stuff. And we'll get to Fathom in a second. But the title that she worked on as not only the writer, the artist, colorist, all of it was Lola, XOXO. Multiple volumes of this series. You can see it's her. She's done multiple covers. There's a lot of variants for these books as well. And she's done multiple variants on her own book. Apart from there's some other people mixed in as well. But starting in 2014, I think was that first mini for Lola XOXO. So I don't know. You can still find these books. I think it's worth picking up for cheap because just the art alone is interesting. I like it. I dig it. I like her style. So I think for the art alone, you pick these up if you can find them cheap enough. And these are cover price and less. These are some books you can find even tucked away in dollar bins. So go ahead, search, flip through, scavenge what you can. These are just some examples from that first volume, I believe, issues 1, 3, and 6. And then there's other volumes as well with a volume 2. And then there's like another mini, which was the Wasteland Madam. And then there's a volume 3. But again, these cover, she has a very distinctive style, and I like it. That said, these things priced all over the place for the most part, but most of the time it's pretty cheap, under $3. You can see 3 to 650. Pick and choose like issues, like some listings have. There's lots that you can find, like here available, $3, $10, $7 for a pair. It's not an expensive series of books, but the art I think is worth some of these cheap prices. Who knows? I'm not saying again that these are going to go up or anything like that. I just think value wise, as far as if you can appreciate comic book art as I do, I think it's worth some picking up a couple of these just to have in your box, just to have a couple of examples, if you will. Next up is another series she did, Oddball, kind of in that same kind of time frame. That again, she did the Lola in like 2014. I think there's a 2017, 2019 series, but in 2015, so intermingled in there. She also did some other Oddball stuff with Aspen as one, because again, worked with that studio heavily. And Psycho Bonkers #2. She did this B cover, which again, it's a different bubblegum pop kind of style to it. Almost has like a little bit of anime kind of manga flair to it. But she did this book. And while none have sold recently, there are copies as expensive as $2.50 or $3. So it's a very cheap book. Very cheap book if you can find one out there. Yeah, just kind of fun stuff. And like I said, also with Aspen, I mean, the flagship title, I guess, of Aspen is Fathom. And she did a run on Fathom as well. I want to say this was 2019, 20 or 2020 even. This was kind of later in the run because it's celebrating 20 years of Fathom. And there are some variants. Those two on the bookends on the sides are 1 in 12s. As her run, I think it was only like 8 issues, had 1 in 12s. And that's an odd ratio number. And these are books that actually can be found, and they're not that expensive. Like that surfboard one is the 1 in 12 for issue 1. And you can see here that it sold for $1.17 with 3 bids. So it took 3 bids to get to $1.17, even online. So you might be able to find them out in your shops for cheap as well. Asking prices, again, these are on the 1 in 12s, asking like $5.50 to $11. Not expensive. And I don't know how easy some of these are to find because there are not a lot of listings. And I don't know the print runs. That's something I might look into down the line, and maybe even for Ghosts, because it's not like every issue was shown online or represented. So who knows? Who knows how tough some of these things are to find. But that's where I got for some of the lower, easier to obtain ratio kind of vibe for you. Then we're gonna get into some things I just like, and some of these could be tougher to find because they're not specifically ratios or just A covers or B covers. And the first one is a convention exclusive, actually. This is from Denver, Denver Comic Con. I like the snowboarding look. Again, this is that Fathom #1 that she worked on. Like I said, she did multiple covers. This is listing it as limited edition, limited to 200 copies. I don't know. I don't know how many copies are out there. I actually did buy one of these, and I bought this online. But none of these have sold recently, on eBay at least. And I also couldn't find any listed. Now I know what you're thinking. It's like, oh man, this thing only limited to 200. It's probably a ghost. Well, I don't know if we can call it a ghost because you can still get this book. You can still get this book direct from the publisher, from Aspen, and it's $15. Granted, it's a fine to very fine cover, so it might be a slightly damaged cover. I don't know how many they have, but if you're interested, it's out there for 15 bucks. And I think that's kind of what I paid, but I think I don't remember where I got mine. But I don't know. I like this cover. I think it's kind of a fun cover, but it is what it is. So another oddball book to throw your way is this another Aspen book, issue 5 of Dead Man's Run. I don't know, different look for her. As far as like the cover goes, it's got almost like a demonic quality to it. No copy sold of this thing recently, and asking price. Well, there's a lot of issues 1 through 5, and this is the B cover, and it includes this B cover in there, and it's only $5.35 for the whole 5-issue run. So again, cheap stuff, cheap book. Who knows? Now, to pivot off of the cheap book, let's move on to a book that you hopefully or might be able to find for cheap at your store that might do a little bit better on the aftermarket, because I know a lot of you like to find that kind of stuff too. And for that, we're looking at Night Nurse. Now, this is a reprinting of some of those old Night Nurse comic books, and we know that Night Nurse was Rosario Dawson's character on the Netflix shows. I don't think she's going to reprise that role in the MCU. I mean, maybe she is playing Claire Temple again, but who knows? Who knows where we might go? But this has a pretty cool Sia cover here, where you got the all the Defenders, basically, which I think is also kind of fun. When you think about it, you got Cage, you got Iron Fist, you got Daredevil, you got Jessica Jones, and granted, in different costumes than you might not have thought of. Well, for us, at least not aligning completely with the Netflix shows, but it is a weird little wink and a nod kind of a cover there. And again, I think this was like 2015 or 2016 that this also came out. And this thing, could sell 15 to 30 bucks for the most part. So if you can find one, you found yourself 15 to 30 bucks. So there it is. And even with the available copies, it's again in that same kind of range of $15 to $30. So it's just a book to keep an eye out for. It's kind of fun. And then one more, which is going to be a tough book for you to find because it's another convention exclusive, but I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I just wanted to show the art, show her cover. This X23 #1. This is a San Diego Comic Con, I believe, exclusive from 2018, I think. And this thing, it's a little bit pricey. Well, actually, the sold copies that are raw aren't too bad. I mean, a copy sold for $41 just like a week or so ago. And then a little bit before, best offer on $100. So 40 to under 100 raw. Interesting. But the only copies right now, or at least when I looked, that were available are graded copies, and they're all pretty pricey. I mean, $400 to $1,000 9/8, $650 for a CGC 9/8. And it's a little bit, it's a lot out of pocket. So keep that in mind as well. Keep an eye out in case you run across a raw one out there. But you can see the graded copies are a little bit pricey. At least the asking prices are pretty pricey. All right. Now that we've covered Sia, hopefully that was interesting enough for you that you can go check out more of her art. Again, try to give you a bunch of different options of things you can look for as far as variants, regular covers, cheap stuff, some expensive stuff, just to give you a sense of the artist. That's what I try to do there with the retrospective part. Now we're going to pivot to the other segments that I like to do for Hidden Gems. And the first one we're going to do this week outside of that is variants. And I got some oddball stuff for you this week for variants. And I know everybody likes variants. I'm a variant hunter as well. I think they're fun. And the first one is a somewhat recent issue. Indie title, Endangered. Endangered #1. This was, I think, a 1 in 5 incentive. So very low incentive. So it easily could have been qualified for by a shop, even though they might not order many copies of this oddball indie title from Blue Moon Comics. But Endangered And if you're looking at it, you say, why does that look familiar? Because it's a Transformers homage. It is a Transformers homage, a 1 in 5 of that awesome Transformers 5 Shockwave cover. Love that cover. And so when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I got to get one of these too. My buddy also at work told me about this book, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting it too. Like, I got to pre-order this thing because, again, I'm a Transformers fan. So doing an homage like that, I was definitely on board. So, yeah, I grabbed one. Granted, this, again, was a couple of months ago. I think this came out. So when it came out, copies had sold. And you can see here, it was selling for around, again, not too expensive. It's a 1 in 5 incentive. So $6, $13, $11. Those are all sales in June. And then I couldn't find anything recent as far as sales go. So just nobody's looking at this book anymore. This is the kind of book that's going to get forgotten about, and it's going to be really tough to find down the line. Just throwing that out there. And then we have copies here asking $14 to $35. So prices have gone up a bit as far as asking prices go. And yeah, just something to keep in mind. I might even have an extra one around here because I think I might have bought 2. So maybe I'll throw this in maybe the big prize pack once we get to 2K. So again, tell your friends so we can get to 2K, and maybe I'll throw a book like this out there for you guys. All right, got another variant for you. We're going to go to another oddball title, indie title. How about Sword Quest out of Dynamite? You remember this video game? This is the Atari 2600 video game cover, the cover D. So not an incentive. This was the D cover. So there's multiple covers for this issue 1 Sword Quest. And again, it looks very much like the actual Atari 2600 box, as you can see, pretty much 1-for-1, exchange. I mean, the names down below of the, and the pricing is there, so it's slightly different, but otherwise, it's a pretty good representation of that original cover. Now, no copies have sold recently on this thing, and asking prices are relatively cheap. $4, $7, not too expensive. I just like stuff like this. These are the things I like to collect. So when a book comes out like this, and it's like, well, you got the A book cover, B cover, whatever, and then we got the video game cover homage. Then I get excited. I don't know. I like video game covers, so I tend to buy them more often than not, even if it's a title that I don't normally read, just because I think they're kind of cool. All right, so there's another book for you, another variant. Not expensive, right? And one more is another recent book, Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted Roll the Dice #2 has this pretty cool homage. And this is a Thor homage. This is a Mephisto cover, I believe, for Thor 205. You can see there, pretty cool representation. Also a 1 in 5 incentive, so it's not that high of an incentive. Easy for shops to qualify. Maybe out there, could just be out there mixed in with the regular books. So it might not be that pricey. So that's why I want to talk about it here. Look, $7 it sold for back in July. Not expensive. That's pretty much a little bit more than cover, but it's a 1 in 5, so you can expect that, right? And asking prices again, not that bad. Oh, sorry. I didn't mix them in. I think the prices are still the same. They're like $7. But that said, we're gonna move on to another segment. Later prints, because I don't feel like fixing that. I'm not gonna fix that in editing. We're just gonna roll with it. Later printings. Some of these things are gonna be some pricey books. Because again, it's odd. The later printing market is it's definitely a weird place. Some books are worth nothing. Other books are just very high priced. Whether it's based on anything other than people talking about things and then making them prices like, oh man, this thing's so hard to find. Like, is it any more hard to find than that issue? Well, then why is that issue only $5 and this one's Anyway, that said, let's get into some Silver Surfer. I'm a big Silver Surfer fan, and I do like some of these Silver Surfer second printings because of the covers. Like this. Best Defense. We talked about Best Defense on Chasing Ghosts not that long ago. We did all the 1 in 200s. So I did notice while doing research that there was a second printing of the Silver Surfer copy. This is interior art that they reused. Has the FF inside. Pretty cool. I dig it. And this book is a little pricey. If you can find one. Copies sold for $22, $30, as high as $115 for the second print. And again, why is it priced that high? Is it that hard to find? I mean, maybe, but there are copies out there, even on the market. What's available? They're asking $35, $90, $100. Some steep asking prices, but are those asking prices high because it's that hard to find, or because people have paid a lot so they think they can get a lot for their? I don't know, but that's where the market is on this book. So if you find one, you'll be anywhere in that range. You could anywhere in that like $20 to $100 range, basically. That's a pretty wide range for a second printing, but that's kind of where that market is. Like it's very inconsistent. Outside of maybe a few books that people go for because of their first appearances of whatever. But that's our first one. We're going to pivot from there on to Silver Surfer Black. And then we had that big reveal inside that issue that Null was a part of that series in Silver Surfer Black. So that was a pretty cool moment in the comic. And then they put it on the second print of the cover. Get heavily printed book. Silver Surfer Black was very heavily printed. I mean, it was a Cates, right? I think it was Cates and Tradmore that did this. And yeah, so there were a ton of issues for that issue 1 out there. But the second print does okay. It's got a Null cover, so Null was all the rage for a stretch. $23 for a raw copy. 9.8 could go for $150. At least those are somewhat recent sales. Asking prices $25 to $30 raw for this one. So if you could find one, it's it's not too bad. There's also a third printing and even a fourth printing of this book, but I didn't want to cover them because they're just color variants on the original black cover. I think the third print's a white cover, and then the fourth printing is like a light blue cover of just Silver Surfer with the Tradmore style, and I think the black arm. But again, those things, even those printings, it's like 20 to 30. It's kind of in the same kind of price range as the second printing. So keep that in mind if you find any later printings of issue 1 of Silver Surfer Black. But the entire series had second prints, the entire run of them. So despite how heavily printed it was, they made more. So there's second prints for issue 2, 3, and 5. Reason why I'm showing you 2, 3, and 5 is because, yeah, they're all right as far as covers go. But my favorite of the later printings, I guess, would be this oddball take on Galactus on issue 4. Yeah, I know it's extreme, like, exaggeration and all that stuff, but I don't know, I still kind of like it. I'm also a fan of Galactus, so I figured I'd put 4 on its own little tail, slab. But even though it should be turned sideways, it's another one of those sideways covers like issues 2 and 5. But with the sideways art, you can see the broad range of these things. $10, 13, $20 is what they kind of sell for. Asking prices again in that kind of $10, $15, $20 kind of range, depending on the issue and the timing. They're all kind of all over the place. Because like I said, it's an inconsistent market. But if you find any of them, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at anywhere from 10 to 20 bucks, really. So if you find them like cover price or less, maybe you consider it if you find any of these Silver Surfer later printings. Now, keeping it moving, as we're only getting to a half hour here, and I still got a couple of segments left. Let's get to my nostalgia picks. As far as nostalgia goes, we know we are getting a new movie with, I think, Peter Dinklage, and the Toxic Avenger will be coming back. And yes, the Toxic Avenger first appearance is a book that a lot of people started throwing money at, and that one went up. But did you know that they tried to bring him back in 2000 with this new #1? They tried to reinvigorate the series, but they only made this one issue. So this is the new adventures of the Toxic Avenger, first collectible issue. Yeah. Again, out of Trauma Comics. This was in the year 2000. And this thing is, can get you a few bucks if you can find one. $35, recent sale. Asking prices, $50 to $100. Not too bad, right? I mean, if you can find this Toxic Avenger book, it's doing just as well, if not better, than the first appearance. So just keep that in mind. Not everything's always about the first appearance, so keep an eye out for this one too. It's a nice little treasure you might be able to dig out. Outside of this issue also had a variant that was, I think, was given out at Cannes. I don't know if I'm saying it right. The big film festival in 2000. They had this version that they gave out. So this one is out there as well. Who knows how many copies they printed of this? I mean, it's given away at a film festival of all things. So how many copies are there? I don't know. And you would think this thing would be super duper expensive. And it is, and it isn't, as a recent sale for this was only $20 back in July. It was a little over a month ago. But asking prices as well, it's $28 all the way up to $200. There's a bunch of in that $100 range in between, but this is kind of the range. It could be very cheap or very expensive. Just something to keep in mind. Not telling you anybody to go pay those prices. Again, this is something to go look for at your shop. Maybe you luck into something like this. How your shop has a Cannes Film Festival exclusive giveaway variant, I don't know, but maybe they do. And maybe you can find it in a cheap box or discount box of some kind. So that's why I'm telling you, because this is an oddball book that, again, it's not going to be up on the wall. It's not going to be a wall book. It's not going to be something that's on a hot 10 list. It's just oddball things that could be more valuable than you might expect. So if you find it and the shop has it priced for just some ridiculously low amount, you might make yourself a few bucks. So that's what I'm talking about with these Toxic Avenger books here, and a bunch of this stuff, including this next book, which is another Toxic Avenger related book because he makes an appearance in Supernatural Law. Again, oddball title. This is issue 45 of all things, and this is the final issue of the series, so keep that in mind as well. 2008. This thing can make you a few bucks. Again, if you can find this oddball indie title, who knows where you're going to stumble across this. Again, I'm just showing you this weird stuff because, yeah. So as far as sales go, there's no copies sold on this thing, but the asking prices are like $55 if you can find it. So just keep that in mind. Oddball title, weird little thing. Again, it's related to Toxic Avenger. It's the last issue of this Supernatural Law series. Just oddball thing. Granted, I probably should have put this in oddities, but I thought it was nostalgic because, like I said, the Toxic Avenger, it's a little bit of nostalgia for me. I mean, they made action figures for it, of all things. And, being from Jersey, too, they always point to it. I think he's the New Jersey superhero, which, I kind of take a little bit of umbrage to. But that said, we do have oddities. So outside of those oddities, I do have a couple of more oddities, and then we can wrap this thing up. And as far as my oddities go, the first one is going to be related to a theme park. Universal Studios, Marvel's Islands of Adventures. I think they still have this. I don't know if they still have this there because of Disney now owning Marvel. I don't know if they shifted things. They might have been reworking Universal. I haven't been in Universal Studios in a while, so I don't know how it is down there. But at a time, they did have this huge Marvel area down there, and they also had a comic book that you could get. This 1999 Marvel Superhero Island of Adventures, 3 exclusive stories told in this book. So, what is this oddball thing that you're going to get down there? This oddball thing is 20 to 30 bucks, really. And you might even be able to find it still packed in a little plastic, little wrapping thing. I guess that's how they sold it down at the gift shops or whatever down there. So, keep that in mind if you can find a sealed one somewhere. I don't know where you're going to find that at a shop sealed, but if you do, like I said, be mindful of it because you might be able to get a little bit of a premium for it, as available copies are looking for 10 to 20 bucks for the loosies, but $65 plus for the ones wrapped still in the sealed bags that they came in. And I put the $65 one. I think there's another one up there for like $100 asking prices as well. So just something to keep in mind. Oddball thing. Maybe this is a thing you can flip out of a dollar box. I don't know, because look, it doesn't even have a cover price. Usually when stores, if the issue doesn't have the cover price right on the front, they just go, I don't know what this is. It's a free giveaway or something. Just throw it in a dollar bin. So maybe you find this in a dollar bin. Just if you do, now you know what you found. All right. And then the other little bit, I got one more little oddity thing for you. Again, my buddy at work, he told me about these things because he used to collect these little plastic figures you would get out of the vending machines at the stores. They don't really do that much anymore, but back in the day, at least in the 80s, when you went to the store, you used to beg for a quarter or 50 cents so you can get either a tattoo, one of those hologram stickers like Bruce Lee, or possibly homies, these little plastic figures. I didn't collect these things, but I know a lot of people did. And these little figures and these little toys can be quite collectible and can make you a few bucks if you can find them, like in a little dish at like a yard sale or a flea market or something like that. So keep an eye out for these little plastic little homies, these little figures, these little guys. But they also made a 4-issue comic series featuring the homies, and that's what I want to talk about here, since this is a comic show after all. This is issue 1 from Dynamite of Homies #1. Again, there are variants. There's incentive variants as well. We might look at the incentive variants on Ghosts maybe sometime down the line, but this is the cover A of the first issue. And then here are the cover A's for issues 2, 3, and issue 4. Again, oddball little thing, oddball little title based off of little figures that were in a vending machine. But that's why it's in oddities, right? What do these things sell for? Well, they can sell anywhere from like 20, 30 bucks. Look, there's issues 1, 2, and 3 for 40 bucks. Those are recent sales. Asking prices, again, could be like $15 to $20 for individual issues. There's only 4 of them after all. There's variants as well. So it can be a little bit confusing when you're going out there if you're shopping online. But basically, if you find any homies comics when you're digging at your shop and they're not priced that expensive, maybe just grab them, because basically they're all at least 15 to 20 bucks. So if you can find them like cover price or less, maybe think about picking them up. That's all I'm saying. And that's all I'm trying to do, is give you some information for some fun little oddball stuff you might be able to dig out when you go shopping. Again, whether it be in dollar boxes, discount boxes, or even just the regular old back issue bins, dig in those areas that people just don't touch. Some of this interesting indie stuff. You might be able to find little treasures and hidden gems. After all, that's the whole point of what we're doing here. And hopefully you're still enjoying that. And hopefully you're still enjoying everything else here on the channel. Thanks again for stopping by and for all the support. We could use a little bit more so we can get to 2K and do another giveaway. We're on our way to 2K. Once we do, we will have another giveaway for you guys. Again, check out the memberships, check out the merch, check out all the other videos here. There's even videos done by some of my buddies. We got new shows on Saturdays. We got a new live show on Saturday. I got a live show on Wednesday and the Star Wars show on Sunday. Jedi and Dom doing their unboxing, which has kind of grown from just being a pickup show, where they're doing other things too. They're picking up some of the leftovers. They're doing some movie reviews and toy reviews, things that I would like to do more of, but I only have so much time in the day. So thankfully, they are happy to cover that stuff, because we all like this stuff. So go check out their Friday show as well. And yeah, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Let's keep growing the channel. Hopefully you guys are still having fun. I'm still having a hell of a good time doing this. And with that all said, I will see you guys soon with some more content. All right, later.